Hi guys, thanks for watching. This is gonna be my response to the TV show American Blackout. I was watching one of my YouTube subscribers, the Modern Survivalist, and I highly recommend that you go check out his YouTube channel. I'll put the link to his YouTube channel on the link below. His name is Fernando Aguirre. I think he's from Venezuela, somewhere in Latin America, South America. And sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, Fernando. But anyways, he has a good channel. Make sure you check him out. And he brought some good key points that I want to discuss about. Now, I watched the TV show twice. The first one was for my amusement, and the second one was for taking notes. And let me see if I can find them. Um, okay, so some of the let me go over some of the things that Fernando or the modern survivalist talked about. First of all, I agree 100% with him. If the power goes out, people are not gonna start rioting and looting, shooting people and things like that. Um, so that said, with me, if the power goes out, I need to assess the situation. If the power goes out because it's raining, okay, I can see why. If the power goes out because it's a snowstorm outside and we got 10 feet of snow, like okay, I can see that happening. If the power goes out and it's the summer and it's nice and sunny, that to me is a red flag. It's like okay, so why did the power go out? Did I pay the electric bill? Okay, first of all, it's like yes, okay, so assess the situation before you make a conclusion. Um, so I don't believe people will riot if the power goes out. Me personally, I would find out why the power went out. Check the news. If you don't have the power goes out, there's no television, right? So you will listen to the radio. Many of us have uh, a radio in the home, um, but it runs off electricity, and I don't know a lot of people that keep batteries on the radio. So uh, either A, stock up on batteries. Um, some of these smartphones, you can download some applications like Tune Radio, and then it'll pick up your local radio stations. But again, if something should happen where the power goes out, pretty much statewide, not a lot of radio stations have backup power. Um, so now you got to think about that. A radio scanner to check to listen to the police radio. That's another option. So those are some ideas. One of the things that he did brought up was, let me take a look at my notes. Um, let's see, generator. Uh, generators are essential, for survival. But the thing with the generators is that they are they require a lot of uh, they require fuel, either be gasoline, diesel, kerosene, uh, and that's limited, right? So it's not like you're gonna have 100 gallons of fuel stored in some place. If you are, then you gotta rotate it because it can only last so long before it loses its potency. Generators, they break. You gotta have spare parts. You gotta know how to fix it. An option for that would be a solar generator. All you need is some solar panels and some car batteries, or more, high-tech batteries, if you have the money for that. Um, some sort of converter, and you got pretty much power. So solar generator would be a best idea versus uh, some sort of a gas power generator. Um, Also with the gas power generators, they make a lot of noise. So now you gotta find a way to either A, hide the noise, or B, kind of silence it a little bit because you don't want to give your location or let people know that, hey, I have power. Look at me. Is it okay if I come to your house and power my laptop, power my cell phone, because I need to call my wife, things like that. Um, let's see. One of the things that he mentioned about um, uh, I guess in terms of storing food, uh, the modern survivalist talked about an ice box type of where you can put frozen uh, water bottles in your vegetable cabinet, wrap that up, and then that'll um, store your food a little bit longer. So that's a good idea. One of the things that I saw on one of the YouTube's videos was where people get two pots, like for plants. You put sand on uh, the larger one, and then put the inner one inside of that one. Cover the around it with sand, and then you put water around it, and then the heat interacts with the water on sand, and the inner pod becomes a little cooler. So that's one way to store food. My best advice is to get a root cellar, a basement, um, something underground where it's always a constant temperature and you can store food. You're not gonna be able to store meats like chicken, beef, anything like that for long term. Um, but you can always dehydrate it or can it. Just a suggestion. Let's see what else. Come on. Sorry, there's a new cell phone and I hate it. Um, And then one of the last things that he talked about was storage bartering items. If I'm the store owner and I know there's something going on, I'm not gonna start bartering uh, food that I can give to my family um, for a Rolex, which is not gonna feed my family. Okay, so you have to think people. I'm guessing are gonna think that way. Um, so a do I give this guy water, a gallon of water for $100 um, when B, there's no running water. So do I give him the water or do I drink the water? Okay. Um, so I don't think people are going to be that stupid. Um, so those are some of the things I want to touch about. There's a few key points that I made myself. Cell phones, for one. Power goes out. Some of these cell phone towers, I believe they run off generators, but then again, they're gonna be bombarded with callers, um, so the line's always gonna be busy. My suggestion to that is always getting a two-way radio. Uh, Preferably, either you can go with a two-pack or a four-pack. With the two-pack, you keep one with yourself, and then you give the other to your significant other. Um, with with a four-pack, what you can do is you can keep one and keep one at work, and then give one to your significant other, and they keep theirs at work. So that way, if you're running late to work, you always have one at work, okay? And then, or if you forgot it at home, then you still have one at work. Same with your partner. Um, that way, you always have one at all times. Um, Something should happen, then you take the one from work and yours. Now you have two until you meet with your partner. Um, just because cell phone towers are going to be overcrowded, and some of these radios, two-way radios, they say they're 36 miles. That's if you have open space. But if you take buildings and trees and all this stuff in consideration, you're about to get maybe 1.5, 2 miles. Um, but that's 1.5, 2 miles that you can maybe communicate with your husband or wife, and know that they're okay. And then that takes some of the stress off of you. And then that way you guys can communicate. That way, if your wife says, "Hey, let's go over here. I want you to meet me over here," but that the bridge or uh, that street is clogged with traffic and whatnot, then you can tell your wife or husband, let's go somewhere else. So just something to think about. Um, I talked about bartering. Uh, let's see, money for food. Uh, Again, I don't believe people are gonna be that stupid. I'm not gonna. If I have $100 and you have, some canned food, which one do I really need? Do I need $100 or do I need the food? Right? Um, let's see. Everyday carry. I'll talk about that here in a second. First thing I want to talk about is, if you guys pay any attention to the news, NBC, SBC, KFC, AT&T, QVC, ABC, ABC, DC, EFG, or any alternative media. In the past few months, they've been blaming, or they've been trying to uh, temper or uh, limit internet with the SOPA bill. Uh, and what they were trying to do is they were trying to blame hackers. So the government is right now is saying, well, we need to limit the internet because hackers, they can, we can have a cyber attack. Again, cyber, hacker, attack. And if you notice on the TV show, they blamed the power outage or the blackout due to hackers, causing this. So kind of think about that here in a second. Think about it. Wow, what a coincidence. They come out with a TV show blaming hackers, and you know, right now the government's talking about censoring, internet and or limiting internet, and trying to say that hackers can't attack or do some sort of cyber attack. So just ponder on that. Think about that. Let's see. Street lights. Power goes out. Not a lot of street lights are solar powered. So now you gotta, be careful, uh, because some people are pretty stupid, and you can have a car accident, and you're gonna have, if the power goes out, you're gonna have limited police, limited firemen, limited ambulances. So if power goes out, kind of be careful on the street lights. Make sure you always look either way, and make sure you take your time. Make sure there's no idiot, trying to pass a street light because they're in a hurry. One of the things that I would highly suggest is getting a manual gas pump, a siphoning pump. This way, I don't want to, get into the whole, you know, rioting and you gotta start stealing. But if you come to a case where you're almost out of gas and you need to go to your to your kid's school because you decided to get gas after work, and now uh, you have to go to work, you have to go to your to school to get the kids. You could siphon some gas out of maybe your friend's car and ask them and see if you can borrow a gallon of fuel to get to the school. Um, so things like that. Um, let's see. Uh, One of the things that I noticed they talked about in the TV show was a lot of the house fires were being caused by candles and oil lamps. Be careful with those. I never had a problem, but if you have dogs and cats, especially cats that like to get on top of the counters and stuff, that they don't knock them over. Because you can be asleep and have some candles, and then your stupid cat. And yes, I hate cats. I think they're useless. Gets on top of the counter and knocks it over to the carpet, and now you got your house on fire while you're asleep. Um, and what does your cat do? He runs away instead of waking you up like a dog does. So that's it on that. Be careful with candles, um, in case the power does go out. One of the things that I took a note on was the amount of elevators that were in the U.S. 900,000 elevators. Um, so let's say there's a person. Let's say half those elevators are stuck. Okay, and there's one person per elevator. That's 900,000 people. Now let's cut that in half. That's 450. No, yeah, 450,000 people stuck in an elevator. Let's say 100,000 of them get out. It's still a lot of people. 350,000 people stuck in an elevator until the power comes back. Um, and again, depending on the power where it goes out. If it's a big city like New York City, LA, Florida, things like that, um, you're not gonna be able to have a fireman or the fire department go to each elevator in one day. It's gonna take him time. So with that, EDC, everyday carry. Um, if you're gonna have something like that, carry it with you at all times. Um, so, for example, if you work in a building and you work on the 10th floor or the 20th floor, anything above the second floor, you always want to carry it with you. If you want to, if you want to take a smoke outside, you take it with you. If you have to go to your car, you take it with you. If you have to go to the bathroom downstairs, you take it with you. Anytime you take the elevator, take it with you. Me personally, I'll take the stairs. It's good exercise and it's safer. Um, but if you do have to, take the elevator, uh, take everyday carry it with you. Some of the things that I would carry would be a multi-tool. Okay, as long as it has a knife, a multi-tool, uh, a flashlight, either a keychain flashlight or a regular size flashlight, any type of light. Um, a small first aid kit, just something small, simple, nothing fancy. Um, let's see, what was the other one? Some sort of water purification um, to purify water. Um, there's not rope. A little bit of rope never hurts. So a little bit of rope. Um, and then the last one I believe was rope, and then a small radio. Nothing fancy. You can get them on Walmart for like 15-20 bucks, and it's real tiny. It's crank. It's solar. Um, or you can get a flashlight radio, which I know Energizer makes one, and I used to have one, but I returned it um, because I didn't really want it. I didn't like it. It was fine. It worked fine. I mean, you just cranked it and you got flashlight, and you cranked it and you got radio. So something like that is awesome. So now you got, if you get stuck in an elevator, you get to crank flashlight, which is awesome instead of having a regular battery flashlight because then the batteries run out. And then you got radio, so maybe if you were able to pick up a signal inside the elevator, you can kind of listen and see what the situation is, um, and then maybe find out, I might be stuck here for a few days, or B, they're gonna come and get me in the next few hours. Okay, so those two things, and water. Now, when I say water, I mean having water with you at all times. Um, So, if you're thirsty, you never drink that water. If you're gonna eat lunch, you never drink the water. So what you do is you carry a small EDC, everyday carry backpack or sling shoulder pack, anything like that. You always carry water with you, and you never drink it. That water is for you to drink in case, okay, there's no way I can get water. I need to drink some water. So that's your backup water. If you thirsty, go to the break room, get yourself some water. Don't drink the water though. That's for emergency only. In case you do get stuck in an elevator and then you drink your water, half an hour ago, and you don't have it filled up, so now you got to be stuck in an elevator without water. So a small EDC, um, carry it with you at all times. Me personally, I don't need to because I work about five. Well, it's about a 15-minute walk. Um, see, there's 3 million preppers, which I did not know. But that was pretty awesome. Um, always carry a first aid kit. Um, One of the things that I don't agree with the TV show was, the power goes out, like the one survivalist mentioned, and then everybody starts looting. I don't agree with that. I agree, looting and things like that might occur in a few days after the power goes out, things like that, but not within the first 48 hours. Me personally, if I know the power's going to be out because the radio station says power's going to be out for a few days, well, a few days to me that's a few days. That's more than one day. So I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy as much food and water as I possibly can. Uh, because I don't have the space to store it. Um, but I am planning on getting water purification, uh, two water purification systems. Let's see. Okay. If you have a kid, or if you plan on having a kid, and your wife is in labor, having some baby food stored before the baby arrives is pretty much essential. Food, water, and clothing for the baby, as well as um, food, water, clothing, diapers. That's the one, diapers. Um, just because if something should happen, your wife's uh, 6, 7 months pregnant, she still hasn't given birth. Um, you're gonna have to find a way to feed the baby. Storing some baby formula, some diapers, some clothes, um, in case, and just for the arrival of the baby, because you don't want to be that guy that you have to leave your wife and your child at home, um, while you go search for food. If you get injured, then how is she supposed to feed the baby? Um, so you have to think of things like that. And I know it's kind of doomsday ish scenarios, um, but being the head of the household, the man, you have to find ways to provide for your family, and especially the young ones. So hopefully that got you thinking a little bit. Let's see, FEMA Red Cross. FEMA Red Cross. Red Cross is a good organization. They help people out in times of a disaster. FEMA, they can provide food and water and shelter. Um, my suggestion is just uh, don't depend on others to help you out. On the TV show, the couple that lived on the penthouse, the guy cut himself because he was stupid. I mean, I've been opening cans with a knife since I was a kid, um, and I never cut myself. Well, maybe like scrape myself once with the lid of the can, but I never cut myself with a knife. trying to open a can, and I still do it. I mean, I don't have a can opener, so I just use a knife. Um, so she said, why is nobody helping us? Why are I just don't see why people expect others to help them out. You know, everybody has this idea, well, if something happens, the government's going to take care of me. If something happens, they're going to provide food and water. It's like, yeah, but they're not going to provide it right away. If something happens, it's going to take days just to get that to you. If power goes out, okay, now they got to, there's traffic jams. And how are they supposed to deliver food and water when there's traffic? Okay, if there's no fuel, then they gotta tap into the fuel reserves to where they can fuel up helicopters and envoys and things like that, where they can carry food to locations. And they can only carry so much. So now, and they gotta give it to thousands of people, and it's gonna cause panic and chaos. So don't depend on others to, you know, help you out. I mean, yes, if you need help, I can see that. But if you can do something about it now, then do it. One of the, and I know this is irrelevant, but on the TV show Doomsday Preppers, there was a couple that were storing food and water. I think it's just food. Uh, and at the end of I guess, the episode, they went to a restaurant and talked to family and friends, and they said, if something should happen, we're storing food for us to come to help you guys. And one of the, I guess, female friends said, if something does happen, we're gonna come to your house. It's like that's the biggest selfish thing I've ever heard. It's like, don't say, well, if something should happen, I'm gonna come to your house so you can give me your stuff because I'm too stupid and too fat and too lazy to store up food and water. It's like, how do people live with themselves? If you can do something about it now, do it. Don't depend on others. Let's see, I already talked about that. Some of the things that you can carry with you also on your everyday carry that are legal and are outside of firearms. Um, so let's say you're not allowed to carry a weapon into the office with you. What you can do is carry some pepper spray and a taser. Uh, so if you guys remember on the TV show American Blackout, the guy had a can of peaches. Some guy comes up with a knife and says, give me the can. I got kids to feed." Um, and the guy pretty much just smacks him on the head with a can of peaches. Um, something that he could have done to prevent that from happening um, was, if you carry some pepper spray, then you can pepper spray the guy and, stop the threat before it comes close to you. If the guy would have gotten stopped in the stomach, that would have been a pretty bad wound, especially, if you don't have a first aid kit at home. You got to stop the bleeding, some quick cloth. Um, so pepper spray and a taser. Um, and trust me, those tasers, they can get them pretty much the size of a credit card. They're a little bit thick. Trying to determine the size of it. It's kind of like the size of a Altoids can. It's a little bit longer, but it's about the thickness of an Altoids can, um, and very compact, very lightweight. Pepper spray, also lightweight, doesn't take a lot of space. Um, on the Also on the TV show, again, couple in the penthouse, and and I know it's a TV show, but the chick, she was just a complete idiot. If you hear gunshots, you are not gonna go out there and see what's going on. Okay, if I hear gunshots, I'm staying inside and I'm locking the doors and I'm locking the windows and I'm boarding everything up. If I hear knocking, if I hear noise outside, I'm gonna take my weapon and I'm gonna get ready to shoot anybody that walks in. You do not go outside when there's threat. You do not go outside if you hear gunshots. It's just crazy. So and I know it's the TV show and ratings. Um, so uh, morals. The the prepper, the older guy with the wife and the kid and the son and the daughter, and the retarded daughter's boyfriend. Um, don't uh, bring an X factor into your equation, or else you're gonna have problems. If you have a plan, stick to the plan. Um, my guess, what I would have done in that situation is like I would have been, listen, honey, we're gonna take your boyfriend to his house. We're gonna give him some water and some food, and he's gonna wait for his parents. And then I would have given him maybe a firearm to protect himself. Um, but to for the dad to bring the boyfriend, who didn't know anything about prepping, it's a complete mistake. Um, he did the guy, at the end of the TV show, after the one family holds the dad hostage, the boyfriend says you should have prepared like we did. You didn't prepare at all. It was the dad that prepared, and now you're calling yourself a prepper. Um, and never give away. Well, it's up to you as to the morals that you have. If you have water and food and a mom, a dad, and a son, some 5-year-old kid come to you and say, can you please give us water and food? We're starving, we're thirsty. What do you do? Okay, do you do it? Do you give them water? Do you give them food? um, and then now you run the risk of letting people know that what you have. Okay, what's it to say that the guy's not gonna come back again the next day and ask for food and water again, and then the next day, and then the next day. So think about it. Think of your morals. Think what you would do in that type of situation. Um, let's see. One of the things that I noticed on the TV show, and something that I also noticed during Hurricane Sandy, that hit New York and the upper, uh, the East Coast, um, was A, the power outage, and B, trash. There's trash all over the streets. There's no trash pickup. You have to be careful with in that type of situation where you don't wear open toe shoes, flip flops, things like that. Or the other one, Crocs. There can be broken glass, there can be needles, um, rats, mice. You come across a mama rat. She's gonna bite you. So you don't want to come across that. Um, you're gonna have um, a lot of trash all over the streets and a lot of oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not contamination, but just unsanitary streets. Um, so you always gonna have maybe some gloves stored up in case you do have to walk around the streets. That way you don't touch trash, you don't fall down and end up getting dirty and then cutting yourself. Um, so just be careful. Uh, in any pretty much disaster situation, there's going to be no trash pickup. Um, and you have to worry about mice, rats, as well as felines, so cats, because they do eat rats and mice. And some of those can carry disease. So you want to be careful with that. And I'm not just saying that because I hate cats, but something to think about. Um, Back to the prepper. Um, One of the things that I want to talk about was a security alarm. I think the modern survivalist talked about this, and he brought up a good point. Was motion sensor alarm. Any type of light, any type of you know anything that can give away, you know, a crook's or a robber's position, they're gonna flee. They're gonna go away. They're gonna get scared and they're gonna flee. So motion detector lights, awesome. Um, and then the other thing is the dog. Um, Not a tiny dog, but a large dog. Doberman, German Shepherd, um, Pit Bull, Rottweiler, dogs that you can train, um, preferably. And I know I'm gonna sound, breed sexist, but German Shepherds. German Shepherds are awesome. You can train them to do anything and everything in the world. They're herding dogs, so you can train them to herd animals. Um, they're protection dogs, so you can train them to protect you and your family. Um, they have great hearing. One of the things is that I used to live with my brother, and I used to get home before he did. And my dog, and I got home. I took on my dog outside, and I used to take him around the block. Uh, and before we even had like got our apartment building, like we were like two buildings even before we got to ours. My dog would sense my brother's smell before we even reached our building. Um, and once I asked him, how long have you been here? He's like 30 minutes. So he was able to pick up my brother's scent 30 minutes, two buildings away from ours. So that's pretty amazing. So two buildings before we hit our building, and then 30 minutes, after he got home, he was still able to pick up the scent. Now, when we got to the apartment building, he immediately started going crazy. He always does. He went crazy, and then he rushed to the apartment, and he knew my brother was home. So dogs are awesome. They got great sense of hearing. Uh, one, no, probably twice we've already been around the park in the dark. No flashlight, just me and my dog. Um, and I guess he can hear and see better at night than me. Um, and if he hears something, he'll stop and then he'll stare in that direction. If he hears and sees something, he'll stop and stare, and he'll lift up one of his right leg like he's pointing, and then he'll look at me. And I didn't teach him any of this. He just, I don't know why, he just picked it up. And at that time, I tell him to come back to me. He'll come back to me. Um, and it's usually like a squirrel or a raccoon late that night. Um, so dogs are awesome. They're great for the family. They will never hate you. They love you for even if you just come home, they fall in love with you. It's like give them a piece of bacon and they will love you forever. Uh, they're just awesome. So a dog is great. Um, One of the other things I'm gonna touch on last about these dog thing is if you have to go somewhere and you can leave the dog with your wife and your kid or kids at home, as a way to protect your family. This way, you're away. Looks like it stopped. Um, so let's say you have to go home, you have to leave the house, and you can leave the dog with your wife and your kids. And as long as you train your dog, and your wife or your kids take participation in that. That way, somebody breaks into the house. Like my dog, he won't bark. I train him to do that, unless somebody is really close, and he'll start barking or knocking. He'll start barking. But if we hear a noise, he won't bark, um, and that's what you want. Okay, so that way the intruder doesn't know. Okay, there's a dog. Um, maybe you do want the dog to bark. That way, it'll alert the intruder. Okay, there's a dog inside, and now he's barking, and now the guy's probably or the you know the you know it's already waking you up. Okay, so it's up to you. You can train a dog to bark, um, or B, train him not to bark, um, and then it'll kind of alert you, and then you can take your gun out and take care of the threat. Um, so dogs are awesome. You can leave them at home with the family, and you can be safe and you can be worried free that your dog's going to be there to protect your family. Um, let's see. There's a few more key points I want to talk about last. Um, two more points. Martial law. Never ever, discuss your location, where you live, where you keep your preps, where you keep your guns, where you keep your ammo. Um, just because you don't want people knowing, pretty much everything about you. So if you have, 2 years worth of food, you don't want to, uh, you know, post it on the web. So like I live in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, um, and this is my address, and I got these how many weapons and all this ammo and all this food, and I keep some of the food stored in my root cellar in the back of my yard, because then under martial law the government can come and take your weapons and your food and your water, so that can be distributed. I mean, the food and water can be distributed, between people. Um, so don't give away your location. Um, don't give away your location. And if you're gonna have weapons and you're gonna keep them in a safe, make sure that your safe is somewhat hidden, like in the wall, underneath the bedroom, underneath the mattress, somewhere where nobody would ever expect to find it. This way, you keep your weapons. Like in Katrina, they came and confiscated the weapons. You can at least have them hidden somewhere that you know where they are, and the government can come and take your weapons away. Same with your food. You don't want to store it all in one place, like in the basement, where they can come and take it all away. You want to have it in some sort of location, like underneath a bunker, underneath a root cellar, um, buried in capsules in the backyard, things like that. This way, you have a backup, so that way they don't take all your stuff. And last thing I want to talk about, which I think that's very important, and one of the most important things that I definitely want to talk about is on the show, at the end of the show, after the power or before the power came back on, um, they were talking about how countries around the world were sending um, food supplies to the U.S. China, Japan, Germany, I think were some of them, in Russia, I think. Some of those were like some of the countries, and this is gonna again fall under what if, should happen. But what if, something like that did happen, right? Power goes out all over the U.S. What if that should happen? And there's no food, there's no water, there's no power, there's no fuel. So what if, right? And some of these countries have a grudge against us. Okay, maybe okay. So let's say some of these countries have a grudge against us, and they get together and they say, you know what? Let's send some of these supplies to the U.S. and they contaminate it with um, some sort of a virus like the Spanish flu, SARS, um, swine, because they know that we have no power. So we cannot have facilities creating a vaccine. Uh, we only have so much fuel, and that's reserved for the military. So that's gonna, I guess, weaken us a little bit. Um, But if we have all these countries attacking us and we're weak because we have no power, you know, so that's something to think about. If we do get supplies from other countries, what if they were to poison or do something to the food or the water that they give us? Um, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So that's it, guys. Those are some of the topics I want to talk about. Uh, Go check out his website or his YouTube channel, The Modern Survivalist. He brought up some good points. And that's it. Thanks for watching.